Welcome to our next panel for Utah RemoteCon 2, DC's What's Next. And we are excited to talk about what the DC universe is going to look like going from here. What are we going to see? Are we going to see more animated films? Are we going to see some of our favorite characters starting to come to screen? What happens after, Suicide Squad releases? So we've got some great panelists that will be diving into that and talking about that. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about our charity for a quick second. So far, we've raised $925 for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Please help us to be able to help the science behind finding a cure to combat this, to help these children be able to come back to having some normal within the challenges that they may be facing. So you can go to givebutter.com/Utah RemoteCon 2 to donate. We'll put the link in the comments below, as well as on our little scroll ticker here in just a minute. We do have another awesome raffle prize that we'll be giving away at the end of the panel. Which is, of course, I lost it again. Man, Golden Axe SLC 4-person pass. So this is an axe throwing establishment in Salt Lake City. You get 4 people to come with you. So please make sure to go to givebutter.com/Utah RemoteCon 2 and put in your donations. And without further ado, let's bring in your panelists.
Hello.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Wasn't Golden Axe like a video game, like an old
Sega.
NES game? Sega? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I didn't know that, and I have a gaming podcast.
So, like, if you go to Golden Axe, is it like the game? Because if I remember correctly, I don't know that I want necessarily to go to. Anyway.
I think it's more an axe throwing arena, which if you haven't done, is super fun.
They're pretty tight.
Yeah.
One of my brother-in-laws actually competes in one of the leagues at another establishment.
Wow.
And it's pretty crazy. Like they get pretty into it.
I've never thrown an axe recreationally.
Why have you? I feel like that needs further explanation.
No, I've never thrown
Interesting.
an axe in any case.
All right. Well, before Jake throws an axe at me, I'm going to let you guys get to your panel.
Yeah, get out of here with your Iron Man shirt.
I will. Thank you.
Well, welcome to our panel. I'm technically the moderator, but I'm not sure about that. I'm Steph. I'm from Hey, no.
Of course, right then.
I know,
Yeah.
right? He's been
I've got to go and take care of the baby,
I'm from Cutscenes and Cupcakes. This is Blake.
Hello.
He is.
This is the third time you've seen me tonight.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
he's our DCU go-to guy.
Yeah.
And then we have baby Henry with us, who hopefully
He's also a DC guy, Henry Reeve, right?
Yeah. If you don't know who he's named after, his middle name is named after, you need to watch more DC movies and TV shows.
And I just kicked out our dog, and his name is Wally West, who is the Flash. So
Oh wow, we
have a problem.
that family apparently.
We have a problem that up until this point, Steph didn't realize. Blake has been able to keep it hidden up until this very moment, and now it's all come
What
out.
have you done? Jake, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Jake. I am on Movies That Make Us, as well as Stolen Droids podcast, and happy to be here. This isn't my third panel tonight. It's just my second in a row. So 9 o'clock feels a lot later all of a sudden.
Right? Did we do a 9 o'clock last weekend? We did.
I was.
It was Marvel night though, so it wasn't as important.
Yeah,
And then Ian, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Ian. I am with It Was a Shit Show. We are a YouTube series and a podcast. We talk about productions that had that were very troubled, that were it was a shit show. And obviously Justice League is a perfect example of one.
Mhm.
Yes.
We do YouTube video breakdowns, and then we also have a conversational podcast as well.
They
I
did
think
a
you're-
they did
I
a
think you're
Shrek
too
panel
cool.
last week. That was super great.
I think your
Yeah.
two co-hosts are watching in the comments here.
Yeah.
We've
Hey,
got-
Clint. Hey, Ray.
We've got Ray.
Yep, there, yep, there they are.
My co-hosts aren't even watching. Come on.
Well, we can see what a good show looks like, I guess. Co-hosts support each other. Mine also are not here. I think one of them's probably in bed, and the other one, well, they might both be in bed at this point. It's late. It's late.
Well, good job, Ray and Clint. Way to be
Woo!
supportive. All right, so let's get into the DCU. So they've struggled a little bit.
Mhm.
Do we want to talk about that a little bit? So they had a full series planned out of the Justice League that they wanted to do, and they've nixed a bunch of those movies. So far, I think from that, they have a Flash movie coming out, and maybe another Wonder Woman. Are they doing any other from? Oh, and Batman, the Batman.
So
Yeah.
I have a list here if you want it.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's hear the list because I think
Okay.
and Suicide Squad's on there too.
The Suicide Squad
does that count as
in
just
August.
Justice League?
I don't know. We can get
Yeah.
into
Counts
that
as
later.
DC.
That's true. Yes.
The Batman in March, Black Adam in July, The Flash in November, Aquaman 2 December, then Shazam Fury of the Gods June of 2023, and then Wonder Woman 3 has been announced, and the Superman reboot, and then there's a handful of other random ones that are kind of like they have people attached, like Zatanna,
Right.
Blue Beetle, Batgirl, Supergirl, Nightwing, and the
Mhm.
ever bubbling Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I have to say, like, listening to that slate of movies compared to what Marvel has coming out, like those titles make me more excited for what DC has coming out than what Marvel has coming out. Whether that pans out to be the case as the movies actually release, we'll wait and see. But that's a pretty impressive group of titles there.
I agree. One that I found too is they're supposed to be making an the Amazons movie because everyone's loved the mascara from what they've seen in Wonder Woman, and I could see that being a super fun, like, female badass type movie, and something that we haven't explored in other movies. Have they explored it much in comics?
Yes. Well, I mean, like the Amazons.
Yeah,
Like you mean
them
just an Amazon comic,
just
not
like the history of the
Oh,
mascara.
taking Wonder Woman out.
Yeah, I mean, you could have Wonder Woman in, but more the history of.
I would say they haven't had one that's the main focus, but they definitely have talked about it more in comics. So
Well, and they did a lot of things right with the Amazons and the Wonder Woman movies with having them be Olympian women.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people really enjoyed that.
as much as everyone hates the Snyder Cut, that scene when the girl that does the thing and she hits the beam,
Mm-hmm.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. You're going back to the set. Let's put a very, very important piece of equipment, and so we're gonna have these things where the doors slam down on us, so they'll be trapped inside a dome with a window at the top, and then just to make sure that they will get out of it, it falls into the sea. So
Fair enough. It was still really cool.
It's a good thing that this is what's next in DC and not
Exactly.
what's happened already. Blake and Ian.
yeah,
Yeah, we already had
That
a
would be
Snyder
cool.
Cut.
All right, fine.
There is a rumored Green Lantern Corps movie supposed to be coming out.
Which would be
Yeah.
so cool.
Yes.
It would be awesome.
I think
I
it's a TV show that they're working on
Oh, is
HBO.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that
which
would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
DC has been somewhat hesitant to go back to the Green Lantern title since Ryan Reynolds' wonderful movie came out. And so I would love to see them go back in some form or fashion and bring those characters on the screen.
Well, and I think most people don't know much about Green Lantern other than the Ryan Reynolds movies and know that it's actually a vast group of different types of lanterns
yeah.
and powers.
I think that would, like, their whole idea was to do Star Wars, a
Mhm.
comic Star Wars, right? And and they were hyping that when the movie came out, but it was stupid.
Yeah,
So
it wasn't done well at all.
So it'd be just kind of cool to see like a core, a Green Lantern core go into a fight.
Yeah. Clint's suggesting here a Guy Gardner show. I think the last thing that America or anybody needs is another angry white guy on TV, or a show revolving around. Anyway, no, I love Guy Gardner. He's one of my favorite Green Lanterns, so I would be all for it.
Well, that's they're supposed to be doing there's a Blue Beetle story in development, which is kind of interesting. He would be the first main Latino superhero in representation, which is kind of an interesting idea, or interesting that hasn't been done yet. So
true.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Blue Beetle.
I don't know too much about him, but I know he's cool, and I'm fine with that.
I know
his character design is cool. I don't know his backstory.
I think there's a couple of different versions of Blue Beetle, and it sounds like the one that they're going with, obviously, is the Hispanic young teenager that we see in like Young Justice. Is the version that they're going with, which is more of his Beetle is a symbiotic relationship, and that's where he gets his powers. So, for Blue Beetle, the original one is more of a scientist.
Someone knows. He's basically Venom.
But not evil?
I mean, the Beetle's not like super great and good and benevolent. He does often tell him to kill people, but he usually just doesn't do it. But yes, he is very similar to Venom. Similar relationship. Good comparison.
There's also
DC did it first. I just want to make sure we understand that somehow I'm sure DC did it first and Marvel copied them.
There's also a Lobo movie that's rumored, which rumors to be done by Michael Bay, which I mean,
I haven't heard any of that.
For a character like Lobo could actually
where did this rumor come from, Steph?
It came from cinemablend.com.
Okay.
Cinema Blend, the very, I don't know, well-known news.
Did it have an actor attached to it?
No, I just saw the rumors about Michael Bay.
If there's ever a superhero movie that Michael Bay would be just fine making, it would probably be Lobo.
Yeah.
Because it's over the top on purpose, and that's Michael Bay.
Exactly. He would be a fun character to see brought to the big screen.
Isn't he more horror, though?
He's kind of anti-hero for sure, I would say.
I mean, like, isn't it kind of more scary, Lobo? Like, isn't it a little bit more, like, supernatural?
He's like a space pirate.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
Yeah, he came about in the 90s as like a way to make fun of all the anti-heroes that were really catching on in the 90s in the comics. And then people thought he was really cool. And he was ironically an anti-hero. Like, he was supposed to be ironic, and people didn't catch that and thought he was really cool. And then he kind of just stuck around.
This comment. Lobo is Dog the Bounty Hunter of space.
That's a great description.
Spot on.
That's perfect, Clint. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, they have quite a lineup. If they do everything I found on Cinema Blend, you should put up Cinema Blend, the most trusted news source.
Listen, it's not that hashtag show or we got this covered, so it's better than either of those.
Booster Gold. There we go. Not Buster. Buster Gold, Nightwing. Which Nightwing sounds like one that they should have done a while ago, to be honest.
True. Dick Grayson's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just haven't had one stick around long enough to develop into Nightwing.
That's true.
Yeah. I think that the failure of the Snyderverse is kind of a problem for the continuity thing. So if they just get rid of the continuity and just do their own thing, like what they were planning to do with George Miller's Justice League Mortal, where we were going to still have Christian Bale as Batman and Brandon Routh as Superman, but then there was going to be this totally different movie with just those like a completely different cast for the Justice League. Like, I feel like that's the only avenue they have left now, is just to kind of do these one-off movies, and then they can do whatever they want. They can be very creatively it'll be they have a lot of freedom with it.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about that last panel, Ian. Do you think mainstream fans would go for that, or do you think they'd be confused by all the different versions?
So it's a conversation about like it's like a big thing about trademarks and copyright stuff, because Sherlock Holmes, there are multiple Sherlock Holmes that exist and people have just accepted it. There was almost 3 going on at the exact same time. There was
that's a really
Robert
good
Downey Jr.'s
example.
movies, Benedict Cumberbatch BBC show, and then what's his name from Elementary, Johnny Miller, what's his name, something like that. Yeah. And so because it's just open source, everybody can kind of have like a different adaptation, a different version of it. And I'm an enormous MCU fan, love MCU, but they pigeonholed themselves because of the continuity, and it won't allow them to do very weird, different kinds of stories that could, like, you could never do Superman Red Sun within the MCU, something like that. I guess the What If series will be that, but the DC has a chance to kind of do that, kind of just go out and just do the bizarre stuff, the Lobo, the Blue Beetle, and not have to worry about doing the connected universe. And I think that gives a lot more freedom to the filmmakers.
Well, I think you bring up a good point with the MCU kind of putting themselves in a corner, not just with like weird things, but then you run into issues where your main actors like a Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans say, look, we've been doing this for 10 years. We're ready to move on to other projects. And so far, Marvel's been able to move on from that, right? I mean, they've got a new Captain America and Anthony Mackie playing Sam Wilson, and they just got rid of Iron Man. I mean, they just killed him off. Spoilers. But if you set up this contained universe where everything has to connect, you're stuck if one of those actors leaves or something has to change. How do you move forward without that character or make that change? Whereas DC kind of has the freedom right now to not have to do that. And that's why you can have Christian Bale's Batman followed up with Ben Affleck's Batman followed up with Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Or what they're doing with the Flash movie, where they're literally going to put in Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman, and then at the same time there's still Robert Pattinson's coming up.
Yeah. Can you put that comment back up, Steph? Or I don't know who you are, Cameron King, but I love your profile pic. I love the Cosmere, so that's awesome. All right.
Well, you see MCU has their bases covered in comics, but you've seen the problems with that. Like, they have Riri Williams coming in for Tony Stark.
Ironheart, yeah.
Yeah. And you have like the Young Avengers, which is actually a really awesome TV show, cartoon. Or what is it? Avengers? I don't know. There's an Avengers show on Disney Plus that's fantastic.
That our 4-year-old loves.
Yes, and we love watching with her. And they could do that if they want to follow that design that they've set up. But the fans, even with that, and even in the comics, aren't super happy about it. They're gonna throw a fit about it, which it's kind of frustrating because Robert Downey Jr. can't be Iron Man forever.
Yeah. And it's hard to cut through it sometimes because are the fans upset that somebody is replacing Robert Downey Jr. or that somebody's replacing Chris Evans, or are they upset about a specific type of person replacing Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans? And that's the hard thing to cut through all the noise on Twitter and everywhere else right now is where's the real anger? Just that you really liked Chris Evans as Captain America, or you really just don't like a specific person as Captain America?
Which I think we could talk a little bit about J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman that's supposed to be upcoming. Yeah. I think
this is DC. That's probably better.
Yes. Is that supposed to be the next Superman title coming up?
Yeah.
In theory.
Okay.
Yeah. If they get around to it.
Yeah. What are our thoughts on that?
I'm fine with it. I mean, it kind of sucks. I hate both the Justice League movies, and I did not care for Batman versus Superman, but I actually am a defender of Man of Steel, and so I kind of wished we get like one more just Henry Cavill getting to be Superman for an entirety kind of movie. That kind of sucks, but this new version, the way that we've been talking about it, sounds interesting. We'll see. Kind of going back to what you guys were saying about replacing actors, we just did a second episode about the Snyder Cut for It Was a Shit Show, where we were just talking about toxic fandom. And one of the big points is that fans don't know what they like until they've seen it. And they're not very good at predicting what they won't like. And you remember all the hoopla about Heath Ledger being cast as Joker? Like, people are so pissed about that. And then everybody started uploading videos of themselves doing the impression and wanting to do their own fan films as him. And then they all got mad about Jared Leto, correctly, as it turned out. But then they were also, what the hell is this Joaquin Phoenix thing? And then they also loved that. So nobody knew that James Gunn was going to get Guardians to be so popular. So it's just like, we don't know what we're going to like until we see it. If it's a good idea, if it's a good script, it can blow us all away, and we will never see it coming.
Yeah.
Well, with the MCU, a few years ago, when in the comics, they came out with Jane Foster Thor, and people lost it.
Yeah.
Which was super frustrating. And
how dare you take down a white male?
Right. Not the fact that he was a frog beforehand was a different story. And now they're making it into a movie, so I think you're right. Like, once they can get used to it, once they see it, they might be able to appreciate and get behind it more. But I think it is a hard, Black Superman is a big deal.
And it's not like this is uncharted territory for or uncharted waters for DC. They've done it in the comics. This isn't the first time that a black man will be wearing the S. It's the first time that it's been presented to a mainstream audience on the big screen, sure, but I think this is a great time to do it. And I think, how do you replace an actor like Henry Cavill, who is so good at being Superman? Because he's one of my favorites. I mean, Christopher Reeve is obviously number one, and then there's like a big gap, but Henry Cavill's that number 2 spot, and I think he's great. How do you replace somebody like that? By going in a completely different direction, and allows that actor to step in and make the character his own. Whereas if you try to find somebody that looks just like the next Henry Cavill, that limits him and their ability to bring something to that character and bring something new. So
I think that brings up a good point. I think that's what happened with Brandon Routh.
Example. Yeah.
He was supposed to be Christopher Reeve, and everybody was just like, no, this doesn't work.
That's fine.
You're not him, so stop trying. And then
the thing
Henry
is he did not suck so much at it as people, like, if you watch the movie, he's really not. I mean, obviously he's not Christopher Reeve, but he doesn't suck as bad as people think. But it's just because he's not Christopher Reeve that he was never going to live up to it.
We met him at FanX, and he was very pleasant.
He's a really nice guy.
It's probably just a trick because he's secretly a agent for the other side, like in Chuck, and he's really a bad guy.
he's a monster
right now.
And if it's a black Superman, who gives a shit? He's an alien.
Yeah,
right. Like
the fact that he looks human at all.
It's pretty incredible, really, when you think about it. The odds are not in his favor that he would look human at all.
Bring back Shaq to reprise his role as Steel.
No,
thank you.
No. That's nothing against anything except Shaq just can't act, and that's really all that comes down to.
I was gonna say, have you seen Shazam? But what am I thinking of?
Kazam.
It's
Kazam, and that's not even Shaq.
That is Shaq.
Is it? Okay.
It is Shaq,
okay.
yeah. No, you're thinking of Shazam with Sinbad in it, which isn't a movie that actually exists, but people all think it does. It's a weird Mandela effect that's out there. So, I do want. Cameron asked about why the animated DC movies are so much better consistently. We just talked about that for an hour right before this panel. So if you want to hear Blake and my thoughts on that, Cameron, go back and find that panel because we we just talked
Yeah.
about that.
They did just announce that The Rock is going to play Crypto in Super Pets movie.
I don't know why would they have him do two characters?
Yeah, that seems
Yeah,
weird.
that is interesting.
You know what?
Yeah.
Would he choose though Crypto or Black Adam? Like,
Well, Black Adam, because that gives you FaceTime on the screen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Crypto's pretty awesome.
Crypto's amazing. I love Crypto. So if we need to have The Rock for a Crypto in a movie, I'm for it.
Does
but why-
Crypto talk? I don't remember Crypto
I
talking
know that was
much.
my question too.
Yeah, he could talk.
All
Oh,
right.
I mean,
He
he's
can
a
sing.
super alien dog.
Does he? Yeah. Does he sing catchy tunes? Like
Sometimes.
You're Welcome. All right.
Like, you're welcome. Oh, I wish.
Speaking of Shazam, like that one was really good.
Yes.
And the delay on making them, the second one is going to be like all the kids are going to be adults. It's going to be a bit weird, but
Yeah.
like I'm kind of excited where that one goes because I was kind of like this one could be good, and it was actually a pleasant surprise.
I'm
Yeah.
really interested to see how they connect that to Black Adam, right? Because those
So
Yeah, they're
different.
connected.
they have to fit, right?
Yeah.
Like that's so how do you have those two themes and tones of films? I don't know. I'm really interested to see even if they do connect them. Because The Rock
Yeah.
keeps saying he wants to fight Henry Cavill on screen. He's
Yeah.
said that multiple times.
Wasn't Henry
Well,
Cavill done?
Well, and Henry Cavill, Superman, and Superman
Yeah.
and Black Adam don't have much of a rivalry,
so
traditionally speaking. So
I think that's a weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's an
I'm
ego
interested to
thing.
see where they go with
That's
it.
just The Rock wanting, he's the people's champ. He wants a chance at the number one contender. Whatever.
Shazam
don't
was
know.
fun though. Like, I feel like Shazam was DC's answer to trying to be more like Marvel and more lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
And they chose a good character with Zachary Levi to do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Zachary Levi was great. He was really, really good. I'm excited to see the sequel of that one. I'm excited to see where they go with it.
But it's going back to what I was saying. Like, I feel like if you just cast a bunch of different people to do different kind of roles, if you have a different Justice League with all different actors, you can do the Black Superman and then have that its own series, and then you could have a Black Adam movie where he suddenly does fight Henry Cavill Superman. And I think what they're doing with the Flash movie is kind of get a set up that they can go anywhere they want with this, because if both Batmans exist, it literally is tying it all together. And the Flash TV show, the Crisis, where they actually tied it so where he meets Ezra Miller's Flash, so it's just opening it up to go anywhere, and audiences will by and large just sure, why not, and sit in on it. It's the people like us that might get into little piss matches about, well, that's not accurate with what happened in this other one.
Yeah. I miss my glasses just for those moments that I could push them up my nose and be like, well, actually, I agree. And I would love to see, and that's the rumor, right, that it's going to be the Flashpoint story in the next Flash movie. And I would love to see that happen. And that does open it up. And I do think that there may be some confusion for a mainstream audience, but by and large, I think they're more ready for these kinds of stories now. I mean, after Into the Spider-Verse, where people were like, it was a great movie, and it was a multiverse weird story where there's all these multiple universes with different Spider-Mans and Spider People, and people are like, okay, that's fine. I think we're ready for that to happen more and more. And DC, if they play their cards right, they can beat Marvel to it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think Marvel is trying to get to that point.
Yeah.
They've kind of stated it with the new Doctor Strange and stuff. And if they can beat Marvel to that, they'll have a leg up on them for these different paths that they could go. I think that'd be interesting to see.
Well, in theory, the new Spider-Man will actually, if all the rumors are true, that Doc Ock is the same Doc Ock from Sam Raimi, and that comes out in December, they'll beat him.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then the rumors are that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and they've both denied anything about being in the film, so we'll see. But
they have to do the meme then where Spider-Man's pointing at himself.
Yeah, like the end of Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
So
see.
I feel like the idea that trying to beat each other, I just stop it. We don't care. We're
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
I will see both. I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest Marvel guy until the MCU, and Captain America was like, I didn't care for Captain America at all. And now with Chris Evans, I'm like, oh my God, he's like my favorite character ever. And I still, my favorite superhero will always be Batman. So I don't care. Just give me more of this comic book stuff. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it
Yeah.
all.
I agree. I feel the same way as a fan, but I think from a business aspect, there's always going to be that competition piece, and it's hard for the studios to look at it and say, any piece of the pie that Marvel gets isn't a pie that they're stealing from DC, and I think that that's why there's always that push to kind of catch up. Whereas if DC would kind of just focus and do their own thing, I think we'd be in a much better spot than where we're at, because that's
I
what
agree with
hurt them,
that.
I think, was trying to rush and catch up with
Absolutely.
Marvel.
Where they rushed Justice League and it just shot themselves in the foot. And right now, I guess we'll see with Suicide Squad if it even remotely connects, because it doesn't seem like it's even remotely the same people.
Yeah. Like you've got the same Harley Quinn, or at least the same
Right.
actress playing Harley Quinn, but I don't know that it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything
it's
else is very
attached.
different.
Yeah, like Rick Flag seems like a totally different character than he was
Mhm.
in the first movie. So maybe that will set up the fact that they are doing movies that are just complete one-offs that
Yeah.
are just can be strange and different.
And
When
this
was
one
the-
definitely looks strange and different for sure.
When was the first Suicide Squad released? I think
2018, I think.
Okay, so it hasn't been too long. Why does it feel like it's been like
17,
10
it's
years?
16 or 17.
It
Yeah,
feels like
you
it's
may
been a
be
long
right.
time since the first one. And Birds of Prey came out in that time and didn't do super hot, so
2019, Birds of Prey.
which was
2016,
unfortunate
you're right.
because I really
Right on the
enjoyed
money.
it.
So 2016 was the original Suicide Squad, and now we've got the Suicide Squad coming out this year. The difference is
Yeah.
Yes, just like
So
the
that's how you tell the
Batman
difference.
compared
Yes.
to the other Batman.
That's how DC is becoming cool now, is by adding the in
The.
front of all of their titles. So
Now, what they really needed to do is to follow the Nintendo model and call it New Suicide Squad.
yes, there you go. Or Super Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad Series X.
Yeah. Well, that's Microsoft's model. You
Oh,
go
okay.
you go 1 and then 360 and then what was the other X? I don't know, whatever.
Series Scarlet.
One.
Yeah. There we
Yeah,
go.
and then back
one,
to
that's
one.
right. It was 1 and then 360 and
360.
1. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, so I think Suicide Squad, I think you're right. I think that's the opportunity to kind of set up, this is what we're doing now going forward. I think Robert Pattinson's the Batman is going to be very, isolated. It's not going to be connected to anything except maybe the sequel.
And it kind of looks like it's a totally different time period, too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Our Pats unfortunately pigeonholed himself as Edward Cullen, so it'll be interesting to see.
He didn't. Fans
He didn't.
have.
Yes, okay, I agree with
If
that.
you look at his career, he's actually had a very
hated
diverse
Twilight.
career where he's a very talented actor.
Yes, but
He
we
took the
can't
big
get
budget
past
movie so
him
he could do whatever he wants.
as Edward Cullen
Yeah.
to see him as a character like
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, he will be the Batman, so that means he won't be in any sunlight and he won't be sparkling. So
That
I
is
think
true.
he figured it out.
He'll actually be more of a vampire in this movie than he was in Twilight. So
Ray only sees him as Cedric, which I can understand as well.
don't
I think
kill Cedric. You Cedric Potter. Okay, go ahead.
Meet me in the prefix bathroom.
Wow.
I think we do have to talk about DC TV shows that are going on because the DC TV is really big right now.
It's there.
I mean, there's a lot of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna
Okay.
say.
That's what I meant.
Yes, there is a lot of it. That is true.
I remember when Arrow came out, we were so stoked by it. We went and met Stephen Amell, who
Mhm.
played
Who's
I-
awesome.
also at FanX. And then after about season 3, we're like, okay, can be done. We're on Flash season 7, and I feel like, okay, we could definitely be done with Flash.
The first season of Arrow was good, and the second season was incredible. Like, it was
Mhm.
so good. And then like the third season, I think I ducked out after the fourth season, the
When
one
they-
with all the
when they-
magic.
When they killed him, that's when I was like, no, I can't.
Well,
Ra's al Ghul, when he like
When they
stabs him.
killed Stephen Amell,
Does he
Yeah.
actually die? I don't know.
he like fake dies,
yeah.
and that's
No.
like how the season ends. And I'm like,
When
he's not really dead.
when they brought in Ra's al Ghul and all of the Lazarus pits and everything, I was like,
Yes.
somebody
Yeah.
got Batman in my Green Arrow. Like, I don't understand what's
Lazarus
going
Pit
on.
for you and for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
For
it
all of
started
us.
getting it got too messy, and
Yeah.
I liked the Flash first 2 seasons are pretty good. And then I think it was one of their crossovers was kind of like the one where they introduced the Hawk. What are the
Yeah.
names? Hawk Girl.
and
Oh,
Yeah.
Hawk Girl and Hawkman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, this is kind of losing me. And I think that's when I ducked out of it. And from what I understand, either of those series never got any better.
No.
Yeah.
I think people stayed in because the crossovers were fun,
Yeah.
but I
It-
don't know.
Yeah, they were all right. I mean, it's what you expect from the CW. Like, I think that's in the first couple of seasons of Arrow, I really thought, man, this is going somewhere and this is going to be really good. And this is something unlike anything CW has ever done. And then CW made it very CW after that. And it just,
Well, and
felt
CW then tried to make all of the series do the same thing that Arrow did and the Flash did by making Black Lightning, Batwoman, Superman and Lois, Legends of Tomorrow,
And
Stargirl.
they're all tied to this old model of television, which is 24 episodes. And it really hampers creativity because you're just stretching out stuff too long, and it really starts bogging down and you feel it.
yeah, 24 episodes works well if you're not trying to connect every episode to itself. Like, when you've got one story that's going to last over the whole season, like, you've got to find ways to break that up. But when you try to tie every episode into the last one and then into the next one, it gets really long. And if you want to do that, it's got to be shorter. And that's what we see on the streaming services now is like, yeah, it's like 8 episodes
So far,
long.
the new Superman series is very good. I have enjoyed
Superman
it.
and Lois.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, I'm ashamed to say, but it was really good. Like, I think that this is the role that we need Superman in right now, and that's the role of being a dad and a superhero and balancing that out.
But does it
Which
hold
is-
up to Dean Cain?
Yeah, yeah, it's no problem. Like, Dean Cain's not awful as an actor, but it's not like I go back and I think, oh man, Lois and Clark, that was the like pinnacle of Superman, right?
Yeah, you're like
there.
Henry Cavill, Dean Cain,
Yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Reeve.
Did you
And
just
it
put
also
Chris-
kind of-
Whoa.
I know I
Like-
didn't do it in order. I think
I don't know what order you did it in.
I did
Steph,
it in
but
my
don't ever
son's
do it
name
that
order.
again.
Okay.
It also kind of proves Ian's point. We already have the multiverse. We have 2 versions of the Flash.
Yeah,
We have Superman on TV, and people are fine with it. You know,
Yeah.
And maybe it's not as mainstream as having multiple movies, but people are able to comprehend that there's different actors and different versions of these stories.
yeah. I guess in my own little nerd heart and my nerd brain, like growing up, I always thought people just don't understand these and they will never be able to. And that's why they don't know that they're cool. And that's why they beat me up after school. And now, like, if the mainstream audiences can understand that, then like, I don't know what I was fighting for back then.
There's also a level of whether or not they even care. I remember
Yeah, I
a
think
bunch
that's
of
what it is. Yeah.
a bunch of friends of mine that were like watched I can't remember what Marvel movie it was, but because it had the Marvel logo at the beginning, they assumed it was part of the new MCU that was starting up, and they were like, oh, and it never did. but they don't care. They're just
Yeah.
watching a movie, going, "Oh, that was fun. That was interesting," and they move on.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of us geeks, but there's a lot more general audience.
Yeah, that's very
Right.
true. That's very true. So
Yeah, I'm not. So did the Marvel TV shows, they came out on HBO first before they started on CW? They came out on the app,
When
DC
you say
app.
Marvel, you
about?
say DC.
Sorry, I'm mixing it up. I told you, it's been a long day. I was at a child's birthday party
So-
that was way
so
too
it depends on the show, right? So
Because there's the app that they came out with, the DC app.
CW
Oh, the
shows on CW have
DC.
always
I'll let
been
you
on
take it off.
CW, and then the like Titans and Doom Patrol, they all started on the DC
Okay.
app, the DC whatever it was called. And
Such
then
a stupid idea.
yeah,
Have
I
you
think
guys-
that people are going to pay monthly just for
Just
one
for-
TV show.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
What morons would do that?
yeah, loser.
and
There were
what
also
happened to
animated
it?
movies.
Swamp
Yeah, well,
Thing was amazing.
but now all of those are on HBO Max. So Doom
Correct.
Patrol and Titans,
That's what
and as they make new seasons, will be on HBO Max.
Doom Patrol
Unless
season 3.
whoever Time Warner gets sold to decides not to do that, then who knows?
Have you guys watched Doom Patrol?
I've
Talk about
watched
a
an
TV show
episode.
that
yeah.
shouldn't work out, but it really does work out.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it. We haven't finished it, but
No,
it's
we
been a
have
good
not.
show.
Brendan Fraser's really good in it as
Yeah.
the robot guy. Yeah.
Which is so sad. He finally comes back for a like to renew his actorship. That's what they call it. And then he's a robot the whole time.
You don't get to see his beautiful face.
No, but you do see his butt in the first episode.
Oh,
I was going
Yeah.
to say, I think there is a
So
butt
if
shot
you-
in the first
if that-
episode. So
If that
if that
entices
does it for you, there you go.
Don't click on Colin's comment.
I'm going.
He's not worthy here.
DC Universe was the streaming service. Talk about being uncreative with the name. And Harley
it's
Quinn
true.
and sorry, what did you finish your thought?
No, go
Jason?
ahead. Harley Quinn animated series is funny.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's,
that's the show that I keep being told I need to start watching. I've heard it's really awesome.
yeah, it's fun. It's not safe for children, but I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people want in Harley Quinn.
None of the
Content.
DC Universe shows were safe for children, like
No.
Titans, Doom Patrol.
I mean, there
and
was Teen
Colin's
Titans
right.
Go.
They should have named it something original like DC Plus.
There you go.
That's how, if you want a streaming service that sticks around, you just say plus at the end and it's fine.
And then just to come full circle, we have DC Comics. What do we think is? I mean, the sky's the limit, but Jim Lee, we can't get rid of him.
Jim
He's
Lee, we
everywhere.
can't get rid of him. Is this the note that you have there, Jim Lee? I mean, he's still there.
100%.
Where are you?
Did you guys watch? You probably didn't. The DC event last
The
year.
DC fandom.
Yeah.
Was it
It was-
fandom or fandom?
Fandom,
It was
'cause
fandom.
It was like a literal. That you were in a dome.
Yeah,
Anyways, every 5 minutes it was Jim Lee.
yeah.
It was Jim Lee's artwork, and Jim Lee was on every panel.
And
And-
Jim Lee's thoughts on this.
And Jim Lee's a good artist, but there are other artists.
My,
I mean,
my
when
thought
you
on-
Marvel, it's always Stan Lee.
Yeah.
That is true.
yeah. My thought on it is this: at least it's not Rob Liefeld. That's it could be worse.
And just a
Um,
bunch of shots of feet.
Yeah, and really big calves. So the comics, it's an interesting thing because they're like DC is destroying the comic book industry right now,
Yep.
and so I don't know. Like these are some of my favorite characters, but they are kind of the bad guys in the comic book business right now, and so it makes me sad to talk about DC Comics because of what they're doing. So
Does someone want to give a brief explanation of how they're killing it?
They killed it because of the pandemic,
yeah,
because of their distribution services.
yeah.
So they decided to get rid. So there's what's the name of the distributor?
Diamond Select.
Diamond Select is the distributor for all comics.
Or maybe it's just Diamond. I don't know, but it's Diamond something.
They have a
Diamond
monopoly on distributing to comic book stores.
Mhm.
And during the pandemic, DC said that they aren't going to use them anymore. And that caused a lot of hardship and difficulties for a lot of comic book stores and owners. And it made it more expensive for them to get the books. The people they chose to go with weren't as reliable. They decided to stop making Wednesdays Comic Book Day. It's
been a mess.
It's like imploded the industry.
Like comic book store owners don't like Diamond distributors anyway. Like they don't like them. But it was a lot better than DC taking it over and doing it themselves because it disrupted everything.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just this like, we don't really care. And it really was a move almost to say we don't care about the physical comics. We're more interested in pushing our online comics and getting you onto that service instead.
Another paid service for you to have.
Right. But I mean, honestly, that one's probably cheaper than trying to actually buy all the issues you want to buy each month.
Okay, fine.
But again, it's DC's way of stabbing comic book owners in the back. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's really sad and depressing to see.
Yeah. And so it's hard for me to talk about DC Comics because it makes me sad because I think that local comic book store owners are heroes for what they've done and to keep the art alive the way that they have over all the years and especially over the last year.
Right.
And they don't deserve to get done dirty like they have been. So,
but what level of this is, I mean, someone had to be the bad guy. Someone had to start changing this because newspapers, music, they've all kind of gone digital. So I'm not saying what they're doing is right or how they're going about it, but it's just a changing of the times that might be a bygone era where it's just very, you only have those select shops that have the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
Like record stores.
Right. We talked about that in our streaming panel where a bunch of us used to be the people who went and got the DVDs of like the TV shows on Black Friday. You want to get all the big bangs because you need those, obviously. And now you don't even want the DVDs because they take up space and it's streaming somewhere else for cheaper.
Yeah, and I could very well be the old guy sitting on the lawn yelling at kids to get off of it. Like I totally recognize that, but it still makes me a little bit sad. And maybe that's just the last little piece that I'm still hanging on to. I do want to bring up Ray's comment here about we're Stan and Jim brothers and bitter rivals. Well,
I hope so.
Good news is neither. They weren't related at all, as far as I know. Lee's a fairly common last name. But at one point, Jim Lee was with Marvel and did a lot of artwork for Marvel. So the good news is they were probably friends on some level. So it's fine.
I also wanted to bring up Clint's comment where he gets all his comics from Napster, which is only a reference that old people will understand these days.
Yeah,
Napster is and was.
I'm worried that Clint doesn't understand what comics or Napster is.
DC, I've said this. DC has really good original content. I wish that they would stick to their content, and I think they're kind of heading towards that. But we'll see. I think there's a lot of promise in what they're doing, but who knows? They have a tendency to ruin things a little bit.
I just want someday to have my Aquaman on the screen. You know, yellow hair, hook for a hand. That's the Aquaman I want to see on the screen. And
who would you have played him?
I don't know. One of the Mickelson brothers, probably. That's fine. They're fine. No, I don't know. Dolph Lundgren. That's who I'd have play him. But it'd have to be a younger one. We're gonna do Craig Price cast off rules. It'd have to be a younger Dolph.
You guys know Napster's still a thing, right?
No, it's not.
Oh yeah, it is.
Napster's still around.
Yeah.
What? Is the Pirate Bay still around?
No, it's like is it a pirate music site still?
I'm sure that it's turned into a different name by now. They've had to move countries like 5 different times already because of lawsuits. It's great.
Like a pirate.
Piracy is not a victimless crime, Colin.
Piracy is definitely a victimless crime. Oh my gosh.
You wouldn't steal a DVD. You wouldn't steal a purse, Colin. You wouldn't steal
No,
a car.
I wouldn't. It's
Why
true.
would you steal a movie or a song?
You shouldn't.
Or
Yeah.
download a comic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you tell him, Henry.
He's on our side. I don't know what you're asking him to tell us.
Also, Jake, I was heavily offended earlier. You said that none of your co-hosts were listening in on your panel.
Did
Yeah.
you listen to the whole panel?
Yes,
What
I
about
did.
that one?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
He was commenting throughout.
And we got a Marley.
Okay, in the last 5
Those-
minutes.
Those are two co-hosts. Just saying.
But I appreciate
fine.
you, Marley.
It's okay.
Not as
Yeah,
much
but
as
Marley,
I appreciate
I don't
Ray
know that
and
Marley
Clint.
was here the whole time. I think Marley just barely showed up.
You're right. She was probably too busy hanging out with her boyfriend. It's
However,
fine.
my two co-hosts on Movies That Make Us did not listen to this panel. I can almost promise.
So
But
sad.
it's okay.
Hey,
It's okay.
Well, I got good news, guys.
I just looked it up.
Yeah, say it, Steph.
We made it past the 1,000 mark.
Woo! It was the riveting conversation we had on this panel. So thank you.
You guys are
At
welcome. For
At
our
some point, they
content.
may have been paying us to stop talking. They're like, just please.
Please stop talking.
Yes.
I
Oh
doubt
my
it.
gosh.
That was a great panel. It was fun.
Well, thank you guys for doing this panel. It's always fun to be able to talk about what's coming up next and hear all the theories and everything. So thank you guys for all your expertise. Tomorrow we have a plethora of panels for you guys. We have 4 for our last day of Utah Remote Con. We've got Lucy's Lord of the Rings panel, which is dedicated to Jake's daughter.
Yep.
Who has type 1 diabetes. And then
Shelf
we
likes
also
Lord of the Rings. That's why we picked that one.
What's the panel after that, Colin?
it's Colin's super awesome Star Wars panel too.
Yep.
It's Colin's Star Wars panel, episode 2, Colin Strikes Back. I love the title. It's very long.
Yeah,
I've had to write it
I
a
wonder
couple
who
times.
made it. The panel that I never sign up for, but somehow get signed up for. It's fine.
Sign up for
and then-
and moderate and be in charge of. It's fine.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then we have Battle of Geeks, hosted by Zach Cipriano. We're super excited for that. Will Jake be able to keep his title of King of the Geeks? Or will
coming
he
for
be-
you, Jake.
My wife is competing in that, so she better. I want a
yeah.
title.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine
She's
with
gonna
it.
come for you, man.
I mean, Blake will be there. He might do well.
We'll see.
Wow.
I don't know. I've been helping with some of the questions, and they're pretty difficult.
Are there ones about sea shanties? Because that's what I requested.
I don't think so.
Are there any that ask the specific number of Lego pieces in a specific set?
Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe
not. You better start searching.
I better
the
start
website
looking
now.
some of those up.
And then we've got our closing ceremonies. But it's not too late to donate. You can still help us get to our goal of $1,500. We're so close. We're just about $475 away. So make sure to go to givebutter.com / Utah Remote Con 2 to donate. And as you're all waiting for, I know, the raffle prize, we have the Golden Axe throwing and bar 4-person pass, which is valued at like $100, I think.
Wait, so this is
and
a bar and a place where people throw axes?
it is, yes.
You know that's a good
Which
time.
does-
Like, you know that's a
You,
good time.
you wouldn't think that it mixes well, but apparently it mixes very well.
Yeah, you settle arguments real easy.
Yeah, it says it real quick. Yeah, for sure.
And the winner, if I could get a drum roll, please. Jenny Ray Reynolds.
Heyo!
Hey, oh.
Congratulations.
Ooh, looks like I'm going axe
Ian,
throwing.
where are you going?
if she takes me, I guess.
Yeah, Ray,
That's
I'll
assuming
go
a
with
lot.
you.
It's
I'm
just
with
going to
you
be a
too.
girls' night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow morning. Our panels are starting at 11 a.m. And we'll see you
10.
guys all there. 10? Is it 10?
Yeah, 10 a.m.
Man,
Yours starts at 11.
Yours starts at 11. Wow, make it all about you, Colin.
sorry guys, my bad.
The day doesn't start till Colin's super cool Star Wars panel.
I don't know.
starts.
I'm on the one before that. So
We've even got Marley yelling in the comments that it's 10 a.m.
oh my gosh, fine. It's 10 a.m. It'll be cool. Be there or be square.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay. See you guys.
Thank you guys.